All right, so here we are, and we are getting ready to go over an animation project in Claude Design. And here, once again, we select the template that we want. In this case, it's animation, and we can see that our design system as well as our template is selected as well. Now you'll notice right off the bat here that the UI from mobile app design to UI mockups to resume is starting to change. And this is only a couple days since I started putting this video series together, so there's going to be a lot of changes. But essentially, UI mockups that you see to the right of animations, that's the prototype that we've already looked at. Mobile app design to the very far left, that's also prototype, but it just gives you by default, it gives you the mobile app perspective of the form factor. And you'll remember, if you've watched this video series in this playlist, one of the questions the design used to ask is, do you want this in mobile or do you want this in full screen? So they just put a mobile one in there, but it's still the same concept. So again, as this kind of stuff starts to change, especially with beta software, just don't let it confuse you. From there, let's go ahead and create our animation. We're going to go ahead, we're going to put in our prompt. We're going to hit the submit button, and here you'll notice that I changed the model a little bit to one of the later ones just to see what it ultimately produced. But you're going to click on this. It's going to take a little bit, but it's probably going to come up with some questions for you as well. Right, and first one, how do you want this in YouTube? Or do you want it Instagram, right? Landscape or portrait? And then, you're right, there's always a couple pages on this. Now here, one of the things that I did put in is during the animations, the only thing I wanted to provide is my email from a text perspective. So let's see what actually comes out in our animation. Once I have all my answers kind of selected, have whatever information I've typed in, all I'm going to do is click continue. It's going to take a little bit. And then I'm going to get the beginnings of my animation. Up at the top, you will notice for animations that we have a few differences up here. We don't have the edit like we used to. Instead, actually, what we have is this kind of tweak down at the bottom. And you can get some stuff kind of done with this. I'm quite certain that Anthropic is going to make this quite a bit more sophisticated as time goes on. But again, they're in beta and you do get, some pretty good animations, but how much you can really go in and manipulate and edit it right now, they'll come along. Again, it's beta. So here, what I do want to point out is down at the bottom, you just have your play bar, right? You click on play, this animation starts to go through. Once you close the project and open it back up, then you'll get this timeline, which is pretty much the same thing, but we'll look at how we can manipulate this a little bit. But before I do any of that, what I want to do is go ahead and walk through this animation so you can see how a lot of it is working and how you can actually engage with some of the elements on the screen. So with that said, here we are, and if I click on play, my animation actually starts to play, right? You've got this bus coming in, it's a dog grooming service, whatever it is, and you get the idea, right? This is Pawsitive Tales, and there's my email that I said I wanted in the questionnaire. Now what I can do is I can download this in a multitude of different ways, right? I can click that download button at the bottom or whatever. But what I want to do right off the bat is show this van by looking at the coloration. You'll notice I selected the blue, and now when the van came in, it was actually blue. So there's some of the stuff you can actually look at, and here for exports, you can export and it can ask you for a size, or when you go to share, you can select what kind of video you want, MP4. Again, you can always do something with Claude Code. But there's some options in here to definitely go in and play around with. But with the timeline for the video, the way that you really manipulate this is you can kind of stretch out some of the elements to become, they last longer, so they slow down a little bit, or you might want to shorten them so they speed up a little bit. And we'll look at this with the bus here in just a second. And you'll notice that sometimes the engagement can kind of run away on you, but if you play around with it, again, it's still beta software, but if you play around with it a little bit, you can get some of your time frame altered the way you might want, right? So if we look at this again, we can see that this first part of the animation now runs quite a bit longer, and then this bus part that we changed to blue is pretty quick. right? And so there's some of the manipulations that you can put into your animations. And as always, you can always type in more into the actual prompt down in the lower left-hand corner if you want to start updating it that way. As we look at this, right, you can still do the comments, you can still do the tweaks, you can still do a multitude of different things, but the edits, they're just a little bit different, right? You have this kind of a select, I can update the color of the van or update the color of the dog, as well as change some of the timing within the animation and the video itself. So it's a little bit different than what we've seen from the prototype, as well as the document, even as well as the slides or the wireframes. But you know, it's a different type of solution to begin with anyways. With all of that, we've looked at Claude Design, we've looked at it pretty extensively for getting up to speed, right? Obviously, we looked at animations in this video, but really, if you've watched all the videos in this playlist, you should be comfortable enough within Claude Design to go in there and start playing. So, if you've gotten something out of this playlist, again, as always, huge appreciation. Thumbs up, subscribe, really helps the channel out. But it was a fun playlist to make, and here's some other videos that you might enjoy on the channel as well. And we will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.